I got this tent frame from Coach. Coach is a guy who lived down the street and died. He was a pack rat, worse than me. And I was helping the family clean out the backyard and dragging stuff to the street. And I kept this tent frame, and my thinking at the time was it was pretty rusty. I would just cut out the good pieces of tubing, keep them, for future projects, and throw the rest away. But I was able to get it all apart. I had to cut 6 of the pipes a little shorter so that the tent won't be as long as it originally was. But it's a big old tent frame. So I'm going to try to get it up by myself. It's making it kind of challenging. I'm going to get it up and put a tarp on it and keep it for a year or two maybe. Have something to park the truckster under until I'm in a better condition to build something, which will be after I get the trails in order and start planting trees. So maybe the next summer or the summer after that. But I think it'll last a couple more years. I made a half-ass attempt to grind the rust away and threw some paint on it. So yeah, let's see if we can get it up, and we'll have some temporary cover for like a workshop, and park the truckster and park everything else that's sitting out in the rain. So first thing I tried was one end frame with the 2 rafters and the 2 legs, and just kind of leaning it up, and it got away from me. I thought it was going to bend because these pipes are pretty thin. So now I got the 2 rafter frames and the spacers, and I got them pulled tight at the bottom to kind of triangulate them, and it's semi-sturdy, but I need to move it further back. It's too far frontwards here before I go any further. So I don't know whether I build all of them and then start putting legs on them. Probably not. Probably should put legs on this frame and then move forward.
So my original thought was to put a 20-foot C-can shipping container here, which can be made pretty vandal-proof, safe, and put a lean-to off the side of it for the truckster. The shipping containers right now are going for like $2,000, and they charge you like $1,000 to deliver them, which is kind of a racket because it's just a truck, but it's a specialty truck. So in conversations with the CFO, my bride, she determined, or we talked about finances, and she said, no, slow down, you can't spend that right now. And I said, oh, come on, we can spend it. And she said no, and we went back and forth. And just like we've done probably every 6 months for the last 45 years we've been married, she decided we're going to tighten our belts. So I said, yes, ma'am. And I'm putting this little tent frame up as a temporary place, mostly to park the truckster, to get out the rain, and just hand tools, shovels, wheelbarrows. Everything right now is in the rain, so it's not a good situation. I never knew Coach personally. Everybody called him Coach because at one time he was a coach of some sorts. But he seemed to be a decent fella. He was an avid jogger, so I would see him jogging. And then in his later years, he was an avid walker every day, no matter how hot. He made it, I believe, into his mid-80s. He was, not a spring chicken. And it's a shame I didn't know him because we probably had a lot in common, judging from the things he had stored in his backyard. He liked building things. He liked woodworking, and he had a lot of lumber stacked, but unfortunately the stacks kind of got away from him. The tarps rotted in the weather. So his backyard was a mess, piles of rotting lumber. There was some treated that was not trash. There was some redwood that was not trash. There was a couple of pieces of sheet metal that were trash, but I kept them anyway. And there was this tent frame that had a rotten cover on it. And I'm thinking, is this what my backyard's going to be when I die? But that didn't keep me from dragging a bunch of stuff home.
It's up, but it is some kind of flimsy wobbly. Judging from the tarps that were on it in Coach's backyard, it must have been up for decades, but I don't know how, because there's just nothing to it. So I think before I go any further, I'm gonna buy some 2x, put them on the ground along this edge, screw these bottom plates to it on both sides, and then maybe I can crisscross something from there. Yeah, I'm gonna brace it up before I try to put a tarp on it. And I'm missing a foot, so I got a little block of wood made, but I'm not gonna be able to anchor it down very easily. Okay, it's up. And that's all I'm gonna do for it today, because I don't have the timbers to put on the ground. I think that'd be the next step. But it's bigger than I thought. It's huge. Okay, so I'm back to the tent frame. It's hard to measure, but I think it's supposed to be 12 feet wide on the inside. I held up a 12-footer and it fit just on the inside. It could be splayed out a little bit, I don't know, but it's close enough. So I'm gonna do a double plate all the way around the bottom and then screw these feet to that plate. And then I need to scoot it over to the right a little bit, I think. I don't know, maybe not. And then I didn't bring skill saw because I couldn't fit the generator in the truck with the 2 drums and all the other stuff. So I was thinking I would cut stakes and stake it down. And now my favorite trash pile Craftsman chainsaw don't want to work right. So maybe all I can do is just to get the plates and get these bottom feet screwed to the plate. So I'm starting to put the second leg on. I used a 3-4-5 triangle to get it square. So actually I doubled it. This is 8 to this screw. And this is 6. And pulled it across and I moved it around till it's 10 foot. I just have 1 screw in this corner. Even fully screwed, it'll be a little bit flexible, but I wanted to get it close before I put a bunch of screws in it. So, okay, I'm gonna slide a 12 under this 8. And then what happens? It's 12 under the 8. And then the 8 on this end on top. I forget. Anyway, it takes an 8 and a 12 to go the whole way. We'll get it straight. Maybe. I think I should probably try to get the legs up on what I have before I get any farther. I don't know how this frame's going to handle being moved all in one piece, but yeah, we'll try it. So I can put those 2 legs on and these 2 legs on. I'll just have to pick this one up 1.5 inches when I add onto it, and these will still be in the dirt. All right, let's give it a shot.
Sometimes I should look up as well as down, but apparently I didn't.
All right, we got it going now. No more worries about it collapsing. Just have to put a 12 here and a 12 there. And I guess I can measure from side to side and try to keep them the same. Screw them together. This is easy. I wish I would have bought some more boards. I could have gone up. Okay, everything's screwed down. Everything's copacetic. I want to try to level the bottom plate. Not like, I don't have an instrument to level it. Just kind of get it halfway level. And my plan was to stake it on the inside and drive screws through the stakes like hold downs. But my chainsaw's acting up, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to cut any stakes. But anyway, we'll level it up and get it shimmed on stuff and go from there.
So I'm cutting stakes with a chainsaw because I don't have the generator to run the electric saw. And I'm using this little Sears saw that I found in a trash pile that has run absolutely perfectly till this moment. And it wanted to have like a little temper tantrum for, what is this, 45 seconds. It did not want to operate. And it finally got its act together and started running well. And this was probably 2.5 weeks ago when I filmed this, and it's run perfect ever since. But right at this instant, it was giving me the blues. Anyway, got it running. We cut some stakes, drove the stakes next to the double 2x4 bottom plates, and used those to hold up the bottom plates to get it kind of level until I could brace it up better.
Okay, 7 more to go.
My older son bought a piece of investment property, had this trailer on it, and he's getting a new roof put on it, and he wanted to know if I wanted the old sheet metal. Heck yeah, perfect timing. And who says you can't haul 16 footers in a short bed Ford truck? You just got to make sure they're lashed down well.
Okay, I started running bands around the perimeter by myself, and there's no way you can hook a tape measure on these verticals, so I ran everything along. I'll just cut it in place. This end's bad, so I'll probably cut it back here and go to the corner. This is all that cypress that was too full of nails to use for anything, but it's just fine for this. Yeah, now I lifted the ridge up about 1 inch before I screwed this one. I was trying to get these in some tension, and they should be fine now. I should be able to take that down now. So I got enough odds and ends. I should be able to finish this tomorrow. It's getting kind of late for me. Ready to shut it down.
I wish I would have brought my ear muffs to the day I did this, because this is unpleasantly loud, but I didn't, so just grin and bear it. Probably my ears will probably ring a little bit louder for the rest of my life, louder than they already ring anyway.
Okay, I haven't filmed much because it's such a pain, but yeah, so I finished the framing, and I put a 2x10 vertical and another 2x10 or 12 on top to give the ridge some vertical support. I don't know whether it needed it or not, but that was easy enough to do. And it's pretty wonky because my bride has me on a tight budget right now. So I ran these long, and it looks like the sheet's going to come out perfect, so I'm just going to cut this one and this one the same as the double bottom plate, and this will be done. I think I'll do the back next. I've plumbed the back, and I've plumbed this one. I haven't plumbed this side yet. Side to side it's kind of, you can just kind of push on it and make it lean. I did it with a rope and a turnbuckle, and once I got a couple sheets on there, it stayed put. And on this one, I did it with a rope and a turnbuckle, and once I got that 2x12 screwed to the horizontals, it stayed put. So I'm gonna keep cutting and keep screwing until my battery runs dead, or until I run out of grinding wheels, and then we'll do something else.
We're not dealing with much weight here, but I was feeling kind of bad about having all the weight on those screws, and they're case hardened screws, so you know that's not ideal. So I mixed up some dry concrete and I put a little pillar, I guess you'd call it. I put them every 3 feet all the way around, just to have something under there. The thing weighs like almost nothing, but it weighs something. So hopefully when it settles, it probably will, it'll settle semi-uniformly and not just fall over and turn upside down. So after I had packed everything I could from the inside on each one, I went around the outside and did the same thing, and I got some nice little spread footings now.
Okay, so all the sheet metal walls are up. It is incredibly strong front to back, and those back corners are incredibly strong. But side to side here, we got nothing. So what I'm thinking is, I've got these 2x6 treated. I'm thinking about burying outside edge in the ground, attaching it up there and screwing it to the middle 2x. I think if I put one on the opposite side and one on this side, I think it'll be all right. It's just a tent, but I don't want it to blow down. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna dig a little hole, put a little concrete on the bottom so it can't go into the ground. It wouldn't take much for it to come out of the ground, but this can't come out of the ground unless the one on the other side goes in the ground. So yeah, we'll try this. Easy enough. I got the material. It'll cost nothing except an hour of time. Those went up so easy. I'm gonna put a sideways one, kind of connect them together, tie it all together. Not sure how I'm gonna hold it up to mark it, but I'll figure out something. Okay, been pretty busy. I got the cross brace up in the front, and I put one in the back too, just because I think I might need some support for the tarp or the fabric or whatever I'm gonna put up top. And it was coming apart lengthwise, so I got a rope to hold it until we get the tarp on it. And then I went around the perimeter with these deck boards that I ripped because they have a nice curve top and bottom, because I had them, so that when I pull the tarp across, it won't have the sharp edges of that sheet metal to deal with. And somewhere along here, I'm gonna have to put some sort of anchor. Might just put like a 1x on the wall, something to tie off the tarp to. So yeah, I think I'm done back here for the day. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the concrete in the holes, and I won't mess with it. It should, we'll leave it alone, let it dry, and tomorrow I'm gonna come back and do a couple more things. So I ordered a 16x20 tarp. It's not a Home Depot tarp. It's a little thicker, But it's not a vinyl tarp either, which would have been better, but they're like 3 times the cost. So I got it laid out where I want it, and I got 2 ropes over the top, and I'm going to make an attempt to pull it over with 2 ropes. Let's see what happens. I got it up there, and I got it stretched tight end to end in the middle. I was kind of thinking it was going to be wider. They must have used up a lot of inches on this seam. So I think I'll pull this side down and screw it to this board all the way through these holes, and then take the rest of the slack out the other side, and I may have to add another board to screw it to. Or I could put a board down here and lace it with a string, keep it tight. I don't know. But I think for now I'm just going to screw that side to that board. It's pretty straight horizontally. So I'm going to screw heads even with the washers on them. I think they'd pull through the grommets, so I'll cut some bigger washers out of plumber's tape and snips. So what I had, and it's working excellently so far. All right, I got the side one screwed down with the sheet metal screws and a little piece of plumber's tape as a washer. And I'm gonna go on the other side. I haven't damaged anything yet, so I can redo it without any problems. And pull on the other side. I don't know whether the sun's gonna make this more wrinkly or if it's gonna stiffen it up. I really don't know. We'll find out. So the tarp on this side fell a little bit longer. That's quite all right. So I'm gonna put a horizontal board, and I'm gonna lace it with some sort of cord or something. The trick will be holding this horizontal up while I get on the inside and screw it. Got a couple of props here. Let's see if they'll stay. I got propped up level. I got 1 screw in the back. I'm gonna screw it through the bumps, which is gonna make the screws stick out. So I'm gonna have to get the grinder and grind every one of them off. But I bought the grinder. I got 200 foot of extension cord. So it's doable. Let me screw it. So I had a 30-foot roll of this, whatever you call this, parasail rope, whatever, stretched it out, and it ended perfectly. I got it woven. I just need to go along back and tighten it up, and I think I'm done. Maybe a little bit on each end to kind of strengthen it up. I'm gonna put a shelf in the middle and see how it holds up. All right, we have a top. I probably will come back and close in the gables with some sheet metal or some plywood or something, but not today. It's a little more wrinkly than I kind of thought it would be or was hoping for, and I don't know whether the sun is going to make it worse or better. But I haven't done any damage to the tarp, so I can always loosen the screws and loosen the lashing and snug it up. I'll have to loosen the lashing to finish out these gables with whatever I'm going to use. I have to find something. And check out my ladder rack. Most professional. The tarp unwrinkled itself. I don't really know how or why, but it did. I straightened up my lacing here on the front a little bit. Yeah, not too bad. Got some of my tools hung on the wall. Built a couple shelves. Burned a lot of wood, or at least I put a lot of wood in the burn pile. Just gotta get my truckster running, it won't start.